Welcome to Ultimate DIY, where you learn to be your own handyman. And today we're going to take the Mankia Air gigantic fan that we've already installed and have a video on, and we're going to take it a step further. They come with a remote like this. These are okay, but you can lose these. They're kind of a pain. You got to put them on a wall in a little holder, and as you're pulling it in or out of that holder, it tends to turn the fan speeds to places you don't want it. So what I've done is I have bought their controller. This is the air control, and this is the WC400. It's made for this fan. Make sure, first of all, before we do anything else, make sure that you get the right one for your fan. And also remember, these are DC fans. A lot of the universal controllers you'll see like this that will mount on the wall in the place of a switch, they're made for AC motors. So make sure you're getting the correct controller for your unit. So basically what it does is, if you look at these, they look very similar to the controller. A little bit smaller control here, but this will literally mount in the place of this switch. So that way I can control it right here. We can still use this if we want to and keep it as a backup. But people are notorious for losing their controllers and having to order a new one. And if this is the only way you have to control your fan, like ours, there's no pull cords, there's no anything like that, then you are in trouble if you lose or damage this. So we want to have something like this on the wall, and we'll use this as a backup. So let's go ahead and get into taking the plate off. I'll show you how I test for power and how we wired in. Should be fairly straight and simple, but it is something that I get a lot of requests for every time I put out a fan video, is how do I put a wall controller in? Because most people, even though they keep putting these out with their products, most people really don't like relying solely on this, like I said, for the reason of possible loss or breakage. So let's go ahead and let's get started. Okay guys, so the very first thing we're going to do is just simply remove our plate. Now these little screws that hold it on, you want to make sure that you don't scratch them all up. I see them scratched up all the time because people get in such a hurry and they just really wreck the little screws, and it just changes the entire look. So we're going to pull these out, keep them all separate. Yeah, let's see. Now when I get it off, I will keep the screws directly with the cover. All right guys, so once the cover is off, I don't need to loosen this one. I just want to loosen the two screws that hold this into the box. And what I'll do is I'll generally pull those all the way out so I don't lose them. Now when these come from the factory, they're going to have a little washer that holds these in place. I've already removed that little washer so that I can pull these all the way off. So I'll set those aside with the cover, and then I'm going to gently, because this is still kind of live, I will pull this out. Now I want to show you how to test this. This is where a lot of guys get confused. So there are multiple ways you can test. One of the first and the cheapest is to use one of these little lights, and this light will read 110 up to 220. You're going to put it from positive to negative. If it's in the off position and I place it from the little screw to screw, I get nothing. If I place it to on, I should have power flowing now, and we have light showing that it is live. That is one way you can test. So you also have this type of a tester, but this is going to be used on a regular receptacle. It would not work here. Now, what I like to use are these little no contact pins. This one's an okay one, but I really love the Milwaukee one. And all you're going to do is, at the back of it, turn it on. You'll hear it beep. Now when you get near live, it's going to flash red and go crazy. Showing me, that's actually showing me my hot is actually coming in on the bottom of this one, but it's telling me that it's live. Now these are really nice. I like it. You can put it in your pocket. One of the problems with the Milwaukee, when I see a lot of guys hold it down trying to figure out how to shut it off, they can't, so they just let it run until it shuts off. But if you'll push it real quick and out, it shuts it off. Kind of a, sounds simple, but you'd be surprised how many people have problems with that. Now the other way to test it, I can use a multimeter like this one here. I can use my leads. I can put it on voltage, and I can go from one to the other, and it's giving me a reading showing me, actually that's indirect, no wonder that's not working right there, and it's showing me that I have voltage. Go it this way, and I have 0 because it's in the off position. So that's really cool, but a lot of guys don't know that these meters, a lot of them have a no contact sensor at the top. This normally reads your amperage. You can use tools like this to plug into a wall and plug something into it, like say a toaster or a coffee maker, and then you clamp over that and you can actually see what type of amperage that particular item is pulling. But it also has a no contact sensor right here. So I can actually put this into the you just put it on the voltage and do the no contact, and see how it's red and going crazy. It's telling me that there is power there. A lot of guys do not know they even have that sensor on their meter. So if you don't have the pocket one and you have one of these, you can use it there as well. So we're going to go ahead and go shut the breaker off real quick, and then we are going to cut the container open, and we're going to see how hard it is to install this in the place of the switch. Okay guys, I flipped off the breaker. Let's go ahead and see and make sure. We are totally dead. Check the other one, and we are dead. And it is on. You can see the little green light. So you always double check and make sure. Never take it for granted. It's one simple mistake when you're working with electricity could cost you your life. So make sure that you do it the right way. All right, so now we have that undone. This is out. Let's go ahead and let's cut open the container. Sometimes these will just pop open. If I'm lucky, it looks like this one will. Sometimes they're sealed so good that you cannot get them open for anything, and usually you end up cutting yourself. So comes with a lot of little instructions, comes with some little wire nuts. Sometimes I use theirs, a lot of times I don't. So we will open that up. There is our unit. Looks like it has a bunch of little rocker arms to preset stuff in this to set it to your fan. And it has a slew of little plastic parts that go together here. Oh, I see what it has. It has white, which is really nice if that's what you've got. It also has black, if you have black, and it has a, I guess you'd call that beige. You know, some people call it antique white. To me, that looks more beige. So depending on which one you use, it's going to you're going to use the one that fits your system. All right, so that is going to be the one that we are going to use. And technically, we are only going to use this part because I have my regular cover that it should fit into. Let's see how that's going to fit. This is our original cover, and it looks like it will fit very nicely. Now, if I wanted, I could switch that over, but my other button is going to be white, so I think that will be perfect. Now, I'm simply going to take a few minutes, guys, and read the instructions so that we know what's going on. Alright guys, we just got it working now. Everything is working fine, making sure everything is dead. One of the things I can tell you that I realized is that you definitely have to know the power coming in versus power going out, because that's the way these modules work. So it is not going to be interchangeable, where like on a rocker switch, it doesn't really matter which way, it'll just change the direction of off or on. And if you're working with a three-way, it really doesn't matter. But we have those hooked up. The fan is now running, so that is all great. And on this switch, you have to turn this over to the on position, and it will light up when there's power. So what we do now is I have a ground left, and I want to show you what I'm going to do for my ground. My ground is all twisted inside of here together, but I have a ground nut right there. We're going to strip this back a little bit more so I have plenty of ground. We're going to loosen this ground screw and place it around it and tighten it back. That keeps me from having to pull all of that back out. So first thing, strip this back just a little more. We're going to take it, give ourselves a little bit more room. There we go. So I can wrap it around there really easily. And now let's see if we can get to that screw without backing that out. And I think I can. We're going to try right there. There we go. Just like that. And let's see if we can actually keep from scratching the wall would be good. And we're going to see if we can go around that. Always try to go in the direction that you were going to screw the screw back. There we go. There we go. Now our ground is connected. All right, guys. So the ground is now connected. Did not have to pull all of that out, so I kept it in there. These are done. I use the smaller wire nuts that came with it, even though I don't usually use those. I like to use mine. But if you can see in the back, the ones I use are much larger. So the little ones are going to be a help, because see, the size of this is much bigger than a regular switch. Let me show you. There's your regular switch. There's a lot of difference in size here. So that should help us tremendously. So we should be in pretty good shape. And another thing I will show you is not only can you follow the instructions they give you, but they even show the instructions on the side here, so you know exactly the way this thing is working. So now we're going to feed our wires back inside, nice and gentle. And I always pay close attention to my power, that I don't get close to anything that could come undone, like a neutral, and cause me a problem. So this is going to be set like this, obviously, because you can read your numbers. And we've got to work it all in here, and hopefully get this in. This is what I was a little worried about, because there's not a lot of room in this box. So what I'm trying to do, guys, just so you have an idea, these wire nuts, I'm trying to get them more to the tops or the bottom where I have more room. So the box, this can go down in the box. There we go. I think that's going to give us the room we want. Let's see. I still think that's a pretty big wire nut right there. Yeah. That one is a little problem. Maybe I can get it over there. Which means I may have to back that out just a little. Here we go. Let's see if that has everything down there enough. I think that will fit. Alright guys, now the little cover should go on. It should just snap into place. Just like that. And then that should go just like that. And we can put back our little screws. So funny enough, guys, these are usually pretty universal, but the ones that came with that kit were extremely small. So if you have to have a longer one for your application, you're probably going to have to take that up to the store and match it. Now what I do is I will get my screws in and I turn them all the same direction. I don't leave one facing up, one facing crooked this way. I try to get them all the same. And if you over tighten these, sometimes you will snap your cover. So keep that in mind. And if you do have a little seam, you come along with a little caulk. You'll caulk that, a little paint, and it will look fantastic. Especially when it's a double plug like this or a double outlet. In this case, double switch. It's a lot of times hard to keep those exactly tight because you can have a 2x4, a stud that's twisted just slightly, and it makes it come out a little bit off. Like I have a little gap here. All right, so we are in. We're going to turn it on. Light is lit up. Fan is starting. Here, reverse is right here. And our speeds. And that is our top speed. Just like so. So there you go, guys. My reverse is here. All the speeds are here. If I had lights, they would control here, but my lights are can lights, so I don't use that particular function. Your on and off is simply right here. Now you can still use your remote. What I would do is put that on a wall somewhere, maybe behind the sofa, attach it so it doesn't get lost, and it is always a backup in case you have a problem here. But now you don't have to worry about losing this and not being able to operate your fan. Was not too hard. Some of the things I realized in it, which as you were watching, the little screws that mount to the plate were a different size, or that mount the plate to the wall were a different size than normal. So you had to use their little screws on that side, but they do give you the 3 different colors in the screws. For instance, here is the beige one, slightly, I don't know if you can see that from way over there, but slightly different. They have the black ones as well. Went in really good. The other problem that I had was making sure that all the other wire nuts and all were out of the way, because it is a pretty big module and you have got to get that in there and make sure that you don't have a problem. I was able to tie that ground off to the other one without pulling the whole thing out and rewiring everything. So you always look for those shortcuts. Be sure you're testing. Be sure you have the breaker off. Stay safe, and we will see you guys on the next one.